The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Overside Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Last round, we witnessed an amazing and surprising finish as Miguel Alcrudo took home the checkered flag, and the agony of defeat as Victor Tanaka crashed out with less than 5 minutes remaining in the race. Can Victor rebound and get back to the top of the podium, or will Miguel make it back-to-back victory? Or will someone else sneak up and experience the thrill of victory themselves? We will find out as Champion Motorsports makes its way to Oulton Park for round 6 of the Sprint Championship. Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel, and a special shout out to our viewers on iRacing Live. I'm Brian Yazek, and with me in the booth tonight is Bill Supzan. Behind the scenes, spinning the dials, cranking the knobs, and making us sound twice as good as we really look is our director Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, talk to us about Oulton Park, a track that many of us may not be really familiar with, but has a racing lineage dating back to the 1950s and is a favorite of the British Touring Car Championship and Superbike Championship.
It is indeed. Now it's nestled in the small village of Little Budsworth, and that's in the northwest part of the island that makes up the United Kingdom. Now, it was, as you said, finished in '53, and unlike many of the other British contemporary tracks of its time, it's not built, fortunately for us, on a former airfield, and that'll become obvious as you look at the elevation changes that we'll see here, the highest point being Hilltop. Now, it's 2.6 miles around, 4.3 kilometers for those of us who are metrically challenged, 15 corners, difficult but very picturesque in a kind of like a fairy tale setting, and in fact, 6 out of 7 dwarfs actually hail from this area, of course, with Grumpy hailing from, as everyone knows, Paris. Now, along with those guys who are familiar with this place, other drivers who have been here that maybe everyone knows, there's Sterling Moss certainly has a reputation here, Graham Hill, Jackie Stewart have all raced here. It's going to be very technical. There's only a few passing zones that we'll find out a little bit more on the video guide. One thing that might make it a little more difficult for the guys, even though the weather is only 63 degrees right now in Fahrenheit, it's under clear skies, and that has the track temperature up to 100 degrees, which isn't all that hot, but not all that cool, so hopefully traction won't be that much of a problem. But, you know, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then certainly one of our video guys will be Moby Dick. So let's go right now to get a good view of what it's like to go around this place. Let's go over to a video lap guide right now.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Oulton Park. As the track bends, you want to try and line up your braking for Old Hall Corner. The apex here is deceptively late, and those who turn in early will find themselves drifting into the runoff. Stay a little to the left on the avenue so that the hump over Denton's doesn't throw you off. Cross the track to get as far right as you can and set up for the Cascades. This is another corner where the track really makes the car want to slide too far wide and send you into the grass. And really, you don't want to compromise your exit on the lakeside, because if you're too wide while diving into Island Bend, it's going to be a bad trip for the car on the outside. As you come out of it, don't worry about the entry into shell and just let the car take the natural defensive line on the right. The banking around here allows you to hug the inside without needing to come from the far left on entry. From here, the track is going to take a gentle bend, but hold to the right for the best line into Britain Chicane. Use the curves, but don't get too close to those tire pylons, or else you might clout them and ruin your suspension. From there, it's up and over Hilltop, and then hold on tight for Knickerbrook. The track crests right at the apex, wanting to throw the car off the track. But don't let yourself fly off into the grass, because it's extremely bumpy, and recovery isn't always possible. If you survive that, you're going to be flat to the floor through Clay Hill and Water Tower. Make sure and keep to the left, then get the car slowed for Druids. This medium speed bend is actually a double apexer, and to add to the difficulty, right as you're ready to mash the gas, there's a big hump to make the car light. There's not much time to relax, so keep the car to the left and throw out the anchors for Lodge. This is one of the few passing opportunities on this track, but the tricky bit is that the exit is blind. Expect a few guys to overshoot this one. From there, you won't be lifting all the way to the line as you come up the hill to finish your lap around Oulton Park.
Well, that was a great guide to show you just how narrow and windy this track is, but also on a journey and a path this season. Let's get right into the point standings. We've got a little bit of time left in qualifying as these guys spin around the track and make a couple laps. In the Pro Cup standings, Humberto Roca has a massive lead over Drew Lidke. He is also followed up in third place by Miguel El Crudo, last round's winner. In fourth is Paul Darling, and fifth is Dujan. No, never mind. I've got it backwards there. Miguel Crudo is fifth, Paul Darling is fourth, and Duljan Boldrin is in third.
Looking at the Pro-Am standings now, and these are drivers close to my heart. We don't want to call them, well, they're certainly not as fast. That doesn't mean they're not as talented. Well, maybe they two go together, but let's go ahead and see who we have up on top there. Now, it's Tim Collier. Now, these guys have Collier and Tarbox both have top fives. They 5 starts for all the top 3 guys up there, including James in third position. They have all 5 starts this season, but only drivers who were able to get top 5s are Collier and Tarbox there, who is 6 points back. Now, in third position, we talked about then James, and then rounding out the top 5 is Eduardo Tremeldi and Donald Fagan. Sorry, the Nightfly got him in there. Troy Fagan in 5th place.
And in the team standings, we've got Can-Am Racing with a 25-point lead over Puffin Racing Pro, followed by Screw Loose Motorsports. That's my personal favorite team. In 4th place is 8 or 80 Red, followed by Magno Autosport Delta. Now, Bill, we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the track, or beginning of the broadcast tonight. And this is a very, very narrow track. I mean, you can see on your screen this thing barely looks wide enough for 2 cars to go through there. It kind of has an old school feel to it, doesn't it?
It does. It's especially narrow when you get those wide BMW side by side as well. Maybe not quite so narrow for the skinnier roofs, but yeah, it does. There's not a lot of runoff area here. It's like we said. It has nice elevation changes because thank goodness it wasn't built on a flat former airfield. A lot of ups and downs, but a lot of danger zones where if you get the car off on the grass, you can end your day pretty quick here. The good news for these drivers is if they time it right, they have one fast repair. So if they do damage their car into the wall, they can get it done quickly. If they get it around the pit stop with 65% of fuel, they want to try to, if you're going to have an accident, try to time it right.
Well, accidents, they call them accidents for a reason, really. I mean, you can't really time an accident perfectly, but, you know, we have seen it before. Just even in the last round that we referenced kind of right off the top. If you're going to have a spot where you're going to hurt your car coming off of the final corner leading into pit road is a pretty good spot to have it, because then you just have to roll onto pit road. And kind of going off of that, let's talk about some passing zones. There's not many of them. But when I'm kind of looking at this, I'm looking at corner 1, they call Old Hall, corner 5, Shell Oils corner, and corner 14, Lodge corner. Really, with the way that the track has all of this, especially on the backside, a lot of ungulation in the pavement, there's a lot of blind corners. So if you followed in last week on our coverage at VIR, you kind of know what we're referencing here. Just there's a lot of up and downs, a lot of quick blind corners, and when you get quick blind corners, you're going to find yourself into some danger zones. So, Bill, talk to us about what Kenny Loggins was talking about, and tell us about some danger zones.
Danger zones. Well, I think as we follow up on what's a danger zone and what's a passing zone, our fellow compatriot Kevin Brown says it's a racetrack. Everywhere's a passing zone. But I guess everywhere's a danger zone as well. But there are some certain places that are not passing zones. And Brian, why not, before we get into where we're going to get into trouble, and I would think that on a tight track like this, I think everywhere's going to be a problem here, really. But one of the places we know that they're not going to be able to pass is what this series has. They call it the orange zone, and I really like their technique. Tell us a little bit more about what we're going to see on lap 1.
The orange zone that Champion Motorsport has put into effect is something very clever. And any racer out there, especially all of our iRacing viewers, you know how frustrating it is to get involved into a race. You spend all this time practicing, all this time working on a setup, and you get dumped in corner 2 because someone got very, very aggressive. So on screen, we're going to pull up a track map, and we're going to talk about the orange zone. So what the orange zone means is single file, or if you're going to make a pass, you have to be very, 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 very careful. Admins are not afraid to bring you to pit road, to put you into timeout, and make you think about what puts you there. So on screen, you can see from the start-finish line all the way down to corner 5, Shell Oil's corner. As soon as they get on the outside of that, it is a fair game in the admin's point of view, Bill.
Yeah, what I like about this is it's not a red zone and it's not a yellow zone, it's an orange zone, which means they're going to allow you to pass, but you are going to suffer the wrath of the race stewards. So basically, if anything goes wrong and you're the guy being aggressive, you're going to get the blame, even though you may come away clean and not even be involved in the incident. They really want to get these cars through first lap, and really, to be honest with you, that's the burden of every series organizer. Can just get them around, not even the first lap like these guys are, just get them around the first 4 or 5 corners. Things really settle out, and everyone can have a much better time.
Absolutely right, Bill. And especially with as tight of a track that this is, you're going to find yourself in a lot of very precarious positions. So, and originally they were only going to extend it out to about the 3rd corner, and then recently in the drivers' meeting they kicked it out all the way out to corner 5. So, with that, patience is going to be a virtue here today, because as you're watching on screen, the track is very narrow, very tight. With that many limited passing zones, you're really going to have to plan your move.
Absolutely.
Yes, and as we see on screen, qualifying's wrapping up, and we should have some updated numbers here.
Yep. Still got some hot laps to finish. One of the things we were talking about with our director, Joe Peak, before the race is, even though it's a relatively small field with really only 16 names showing up on the standings right now, 15 have qualified, that's still, for this track, and as small as this track is, honestly, that's about all you really want here. I wouldn't want to see many more, because this place is tight.
All right. So now that everybody seems to have wrapped up their line, wrapped up their final laps, I think we can kind of roll into qualifying here. So, on pole, if you are a viewer to this series regularly, this name will not surprise you at the top. Humberto Roca, P1, followed by Paul Darling in 2nd, Tom Ratji in 3rd, Robert Tarbox Jr. in 4th, series organizer Jason Lundy in 5th, and 6th goes to Drew Lidke. Bill.
7th position, Brad Wren. Now, outside of him is Ricardo Mendez. Tim Collier in 9th position. James Hume in 10th. Right behind them is Miguel Alcrudo and Goodwin. Rounding out the 12th position, I'll take the final 3 for us. Warren McGarry, Jay Friels, and Kyle Heron rounding out the 15th. And we're waiting to see if Wayne Fitzgerald actually grids. He didn't post a time.
No, that's kind of unfortunate. Or maybe he's being the smart route and saying, hey, you know what? I just want to start out back and kind of avoid everything. And now that the session is officially over in iRacing world, we're now going to start the gridding process. So, Bill, I know you're not 100% familiar with this series, but go out there and pick me a winner. Who do you think is going to bring home the checkered flag tonight?
Oh, I would never hear the end of it if I didn't pick the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratche from a long time associated with the MX-5 World Tour. He's always very close, never got a win in that series, always doing well. He's in the combo with Jason Lundy in Puffin Racing. Those guys are always doing very good. So I would not be surprised to see him do well. Of course, we know Paul Darling from many series. And then, of course, Roca, like you said, he's tough to beat.
He's very tough to beat. I mean, it seemed like last week he pretty much just put on a clinic for everybody.
8/10 faster than Darling right behind him. So yeah, it could be wire to wire time.
You know, I'm not going to pick Roca. I'm going to pick Paul Darling, simply because any viewers also remembering our last broadcast of the Sprint Series will remember that I epically jinxed Victor Tanaka, who is not here tonight, as he was. My exact comment was he could come off of the final corner, do a donut, and keep going. And he came off the final corner and went right into the fence. So I'm not gonna jinx Roca out there for all you fans of Humberto as the field starts to roll off. It looks like they're starting not from the pits clearly, but they're starting up by Hilltop, I think. Or
yeah, before Druid. So we're not going to have a totally long pit stop here. Just maybe 2 corners before they go green.
I see. They're working their way through here. Okay, I got you now. Some kind of final last-minute bantering from all the drivers as they work their way down Warwick Bridge up to Lodge Corner. I'm talking about hot dogs in the server, so I'm just going to assume I missed kind of a crucial part of that conversation. And as you see here, even pit road is tricky, uphill, and you're going to watch the pace car dive off of here. Green, Humberto Roca takes off, gets a great jump, and you're going to watch everybody pretty much fall right into line, knowing that orange zone is in effect all the way up to turn 5. I don't see anybody getting squirrely back there, so the orange zone is definitely keeping everybody in the right state of mind so far. Bill, you see anything?
Tarbox and Lundy were not. They were not playing. Oh, Lundy very close. Let's get back on the Lundy running right there in 4th and 5th position with Tarbox. They're side by side.
Oh, there's a spin out back. There's a spin out back. We've got. I think it's Simon Goodwin.
Lundy also got turned but got saved.
Miguel Alcrudo, last week's winner, is involved. Simon Goodwin is involved. Warren McGarry may have got a piece of that. Let's jump to a replay here and see what exactly happened. This was in the battle for 15th. It was a BMW versus Subaru. Oh, this is what we talked about with it being a very narrow track. It doesn't take much getting off on the track to send your car loopy, and that's exactly what happened to Miguel right there. And then jumping up, you see the battle there between Lundy and Lidkey. Apparently that.
Yeah. And Lundy, what happened is Lundy got turned. I think it was it might have been Lidkey that got into him there and turned him almost 45 degrees parallel, and Lundy did a great job of saving him.
Well, so much for
the orange zone, huh?
Easy, yeah. All right, let's see. At the end, as we work our way through here, Roca has a nice lead over second place Paul Darling, in third Tom Rotjay, and Tarbox in fourth, followed by Drew Lidkey in fifth, as everybody works their way through Cascades and down Lakeside, which is it's one of those very simply named corners because just on the other side of that retaining wall is a giant lake. As you see in the background right there, almost on cue. It's I'm going to take all the credit for that. Let's see if we can find ourselves a battle here as everybody working their way through Britons. I don't see Bill. Do you see anything out there?
No, I think the best battle is on screen right now with it's a 4-car train with Tarbox out in front, Lidkey, Lundy, and then Mendez wrapping it up in 7th position. Everyone behaving. That's the BMW out in front, and then it looks like a McLaren behind him, another BMW, and then a roof.
As we go on board with Ricardo Mendez in 7th place, following in the tire tracks of Jason Lundy. Not really, I mean, you're looking to maybe potentially set up a move coming up here to this corner, or potentially the next one as these guys work their way through the Druids and then down Warwick one more time. Or no, we're on the front stretch now, sorry.
Yeah, we're on board there was Mendez. As you see the 3 cars ahead of him. Mendez currently running 7th position right now. Beautiful scenery here.
Absolutely. The all that elevation changes that we talked about really provides a nice backdrop to the track. As you see, as we're looking on riding on the roof of the roof. Oh, now we're on the. my director's playing games with me. I was about to make a great pun of being on the roof of the roof. We're going to follow Jason Lundy, but you see, as you know, as these guys were working their way down Lakeside and through Island Bend, just how the next series of corners was way up higher on the track. And also for fans of Miguel El Crudo, he has officially disconnected from the race. So tough race for him, especially after last round's victory.
Well, that's what it takes, though, to be an iRacing champion. You need resilience, and you need talent, resilience, and opportunity. You have to be able to race enough. You have to be able to be resilient if we have mistakes, and you got to be fast enough to get those wins.
And we're just going to keep this on screen as this 3-car battle now between Tarbox, Lidke, and Lundy works their way around the track. I mean, who do you? We saw last week. BMWs have a massive brake pedal that they can really do some damage getting into the corners deeper than McLaren's. And you're watching a move right there, side by side behind him, Lidke and Lundy. Man, if the L's, here we go. Lundy's going to try to take it around the high side, but it's not going to quite work as Lidke is going to be able to stretch away as they work their way down Lakeside one more time. Going around the outside is definitely not the place that I would try to make that maneuver happen, but he's going to look like he was going to potentially do a follow back, but let's see if the braking power of this BMW can live up as they work their way up to Britain's one more time.
Yeah, I would think as far as the BMW is always considered to be a little underpowered compared to the roof, but I think the BMW would fare well here because while there are several straights and a few passing zones, the straights aren't incredibly long where the roof can start to pull away.
No, as you watched just out the backside of Lundy there, Ricardo Mendez and his roof was making a run up towards the rear spoiler of that blue and orange BMW of Lundy.
Lundy, of course, we talked about it, part of Puffin Racing. Teamed up, you will see a similar paint scheme with Tom Ratche, currently running in third right now. Looking out of the back of Lundy, looking back now at Mendez.
This is where we're going to see, this is going to be good because if you're talking about, the roof having more power, as you saw Mendez kind of have a small moment coming off of the corner there. But if the roof has more power, this is where you're going to see it come into play. I would say Lakeside through Island Bend is probably going to be one of the better longer straights. So we'll have to see. Now he's not going to be able to make any kind of gap up as Lundy looks like he's trying to get back up to the rear bumper of Lidke. And remember, Bill, these guys, they might not play nice with each other because these were the two guys that we saw beating and banging doors through the first lap. And you can actually see right there behind the front wheel the damage that's on the body as we got to pass in the maneuver for third. Lidke definitely got a great run as the door gets shut down. And he's got a break way earlier than he was expecting to. He got a great run on Tarbox, but Tarbox slammed the door shut. And now Lidke is under fire from Lundy. Lundy's going to have the preferred position as they work their way through here. Gentlemen's quarters. Everybody plays very nice as they work their way back onto the front stretch. Now, is Lidke going to be able to make a run back on Lundy? And we saw it right there for a split second, but that's just going to let Lundy squeak away. But now Lidke is under fire from Mendez in the roof. Mendez is going to making a look to the inside. Not going to work through there. See if he can tuck in, find a draft through Lakeside, and maybe he can work his way, work his magic around him through Shell Oils up here in corner 5.
I think what makes this battle exciting is I think maybe the slowest car out of the 4 of them, even though he qualified faster than the other 3 behind him, is Tarbox. Tarbox might be slowing these guys down, as now you can see Lundy is picking up a lot of ground on Tarbox, and if Tarbox can get around him, next up for them is his teammate Ratche running up in third position.
That is going to be something we're going to have to pay attention to here. Out front, we are not missing anything. Roca is flat walking away the last lap by just a mere 0.8 of a second over Paul Darling. So as we go on screen, Roca just having a nice smooth race, kind of very similar to how he ran at VIR in the Endurance Series here. Just keeping his marks, you know, keeping a very nice, clean race, because to finish first, one must first finish. And with a proverbial bear trap that this track is, it's just waiting to reach out and snatch you.
Maybe we can get the camera quickly back to Warren McGarry. The only reason we bring it up is I got to give the Ford a little love here. It's the only Ford in the race, I believe, today. Currently running back in 13th position, 29 seconds off the lead. But in that beautiful, I love that.
You are absolutely correct. He is the only Ford in this series, and also a personal favorite of mine, because he is also a Michigan native, or Michigander, much like myself.
That's going to be that's going to be our policy. If you're brave enough to run Ford, you get a little screen time here.
Absolutely, and with the Audi and I believe it's the Mercedes. Someone got to correct me on that. Okay, so it is the Mercedes. With the Audi and the Mercedes coming to iRacing sometime in 2016, that is actually going to phase out the roof and the Ford from the GT3 series as iRacing knows it. So it's still going to leave the BMW, the McLaren, and then you're going to have the aforementioned Mercedes and Audi.
Here comes Lundy now. Has ran down Tarbox and really starts to make a move on him. Let's
see here. You're watching Lundy following in the tire tracks of the fellow BMW of Tarbox. This is where he seems to. This is where he seems to be able to make his mark. We've got
Licky is off. Licky was in the wall right behind him. You might have caught it on screen there. Just got loose.
No, that was Mendez. Mendez had a spin off of the final corner. I'm going to bring that to you live on a GSRC replay.
Mendez maybe too, but Licky certainly.
Well, Mendez is the one that hit the wall.
Well, Licky, I'm telling you, Licky also hit the wall, boys. Now, I agree, Mendez hit the wall a little harder than Licky, but Licky definitely glanced off it. So the two cars that were running, what were they running with?
Whoa, Licky is off again. Licky is off again, right at the other side of Shell Oil's corner. He potentially could have some damage from that wall impact.
Oh, yeah, he tagged it pretty hard.
He came through the corner and just pulled onto the grass and rode it through there. Could he potentially be having suspension or?
Got very loose, yeah. When he was.
Well, now he's well off the pace. James Hume has gotten around him. It's probably not going to be long before Brad Wren and Jay Friels get around him as well. I mean, that McLaren is well off pace. On screen, we're going to see Lidkey working his way through. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Goes through here, and then just pulls to the right. Like he... Oh, we've got another problem. On track, Tim Collier has had a spin through Lodge Corner. Collier had a moment. We're going to show that to you on replay again. Also, Drew Lidkey has found his way to pit road and probably going to burn up that fast repair right here. As we cut on screen, Tim Collier, as you see, just working his way through Druids. Nope, not through Druids. And he just absolutely lost it. I think the front end, or the rear of the car wanted to meet the front end of the car through that corner. And unfortunately, that was a spin and an off for him. And we've got another problem. What was I just saying about this track being a bear trap, just waiting to reach out and grab people? Brad Wren does a 360 Shades of Danny Sullivan spin to win. I think he just, what it looks like to me, Bill, is maybe he went to downshift, but he downshifted too early because that car just, you watched it backfire and then it just started wiggling. But hey, style points for Brad Wren. 360, didn't hit anything, grab a gear and go.
Did a nice loop in front of Friels and Collier there. Lost a couple positions.
Friels on his next pit stop might have to get 4 tires and a change of underwear, but hey, that was a great maneuver, and no one else got impacted by that.
Now, Puffin Racing fans, I'm sorry we couldn't get this because of the other drivers wouldn't cooperate, but Jason Lundy has gotten around Tarbox. We weren't able to get that on screen because of all the incidents that were going on. So Lundy's moved up to 4th position now, right behind his teammate Tom Recchi.
Absolutely in position 4. Ratjay just motoring away. Go on board with Mendez or
And
show your
Litke-
replay of Mendez.
Litke was off one more time after he brought in his new repair. My goodness.
We see Mendez making a move on Kyle Herron, closing in on Kyle Herron, which is impressive with as damaged as that roof is, that he's able to maintain some form of speed around this track.
So maybe now we might want to set the pacer with all the excitement going on. We can do the standings there. Roca out in front, well out in front by 7.5 seconds.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Brad Bryn goes off again. This time, not so much of a nice spin. I think Britain's has finally claimed its first victim of the race. We're going to show you on replay. Going into Britain's is a very peculiar and very dangerous corner. I think he just flat missed his braking mark right there, because then he found himself out in the grass. Another loop, doesn't hit anything again. If I was him, I wouldn't want to go third time's a charm, that's for sure. Also, no incident limit in the sprint series here.
That's a good thing for these drivers, because the track is winning here today, as we're looking right there as Bryn now running in 11th position, just behind Warren McGarry.
Okay, as Warren lets Brad Bryn go by, I think Warren knows that Ford is just down on power in comparison to the mighty McLaren there. But how far did we get through the field rundown there, Bill? I was busy trying to...
If these guys would behave, we'll do it. We did the first two. Roca and Darling out 1 and 2. Ratjay running in third position, got about 5-second lead on his teammate Jason Lundy, who's about 3 seconds ahead of Robert Tarbox. So once Lundy got around Tarbox, he was able to stretch it out a bit. Oulton running in 6th position. He's about 6 seconds back from Tarbox, and he's got about 8 seconds on Friels, which is doing a nice job running now up. Jay's running up into 7th position. Good closing for him. Ricardo Mendez has slotted into 8th spot. Kyle Herron running in 9th and rounding out the top 10. Very exciting, having his issues, but he's still in the top 10. Brad Bryn.
It's been a very exciting race so far. Let's see if we can find something else going on. I want to take and put some spotlight on Ricardo Mendez. He has an absolutely wounded vehicle, and he's still pulling off fairly comparable lap times in comparison to people around him. He's been able to close down a gap a little bit on Jay Friels in 7th, but he's been able to open that gap to Kyle Herron in 9th. So I think the strategy here for Ricardo is make it to your window that you've got to get to, burn your fast repair up, and then get back on the track and dig. It's the benefit of having a rear-wheel drive car is when you nose it into the wall, it doesn't do all that damage, but still the aerodynamic disadvantage is what I'd be more so looking at with these finely tuned GT3 machines.
Going through the 15 cars that are still out on the track right now. Actually, 14 cars are out there with Alcrudo calling it a day, and Fitzgerald's not starting, so we have 14. Hard to find a battle anywhere right now, as they've stretched it out nicely. All the cars just on a nice Wednesday night drive.
Well, on screen, Friels made a mistake coming through there, and that's just allowed Mendez to just start getting closer and closer. Let's keep an eye on this battle. As these guys work their way around Water Tower through Druids Corner. They're going to come onto Warwick Bridge.
Mendez has some interesting aerodynamic on the hood of his car there, where he's had some fun.
Well, that's where he nosed it right into the fence there.
Yep. A little extra downforce on the front, maybe. Now we'll see what kind of line here Friels takes in that BMW. As we see a car coming out of the pits, that's Simon Goodwin coming out right in the mix there. Simon currently running in 14th position.
And he wisely gets back and gets out of the way. Mendez is going to make his move. He's going to try to make his move, and he's going to get there. He's going to have the preferred position for at least 2 of these corners. He's got to get it done before Island Bend, and he will, as I believe Friels backed off and let him have it. Now is there going to be behind him? Behind him, Goodwin had a moment coming through there. And Mendez completes the pass and works his way up to Britain's one more time today. And I'm also going to correct myself. It is not Audi. Or no, it is Audi. It is Audi. I was saying it the wrong way. So Audi, not however I was saying it before. That's just my Michigan accent kicking in. Anyways, back on screen.
That's how we say it in California.
Let's see here. I mean, right there, that's the closest battle, but it's not going to be a battle for long as Mendez is going to march away.
No, like you said, Mendez, even with that damaged car, is still putting in some pretty good lap times. Let's see what he's got in store for him. What he's got ahead of him next on his list would be Oulton, I guess, running in 6th position. And we had another spinner. In fact, maybe even contact. Could it be Simon Goodwin? Maybe we can go back and look at Simon Goodwin real quick. He got loose right in front of Heron.
Yep, that's you hit it right on the head, Bill. Simon Goodwin has a moment coming through there. Ooh, goodness gracious, as I watched it on my replay. And poor Kyle was just not able to react. You're going to see it on screen. Goodwin comes through that corner once more, gets sideways, saves it, but unfortunately Kyle was not able to back out of it and ran the nose of that BMW right up the tailpipes. That's going to hurt that car just a little bit. We're going on the replay with Kyle Heron. You're going to see his perspective of it as he worked his way through. They're working their way down Warwick Bridge and up to Lodge Corner. This is where Goodwin is going to have his moment. Just gets sideways, tries to save it, saves it. Price, yeah, as you can see right there, he had the brake lights were locked on. He was trying not to spin out and find the wall, but what he ended up doing was almost stopping, or practically stopping on track, and poor Kyle had kind of nowhere to go there.
Yeah, really a good example of how really narrow the car is. When a car gets perpendicular to the track, there's actually nowhere to go around. One car length is almost the width of this track, so it's tough when you loop it and then leave it right in the middle like that.
Well, when you got a track, just like you said, it's barely big enough for 2 cars unless you're down the front straightaway. But, you get one sideways like that, these kind of things are going to happen. Let's jump up to Roca here. Basically, he's out for, as Bill said, a nice, cool Wednesday evening drive. Lap time-wise, he's still the fastest thing on track. Nobody's remotely near him. He's got about 11-second lead over his nearest competitor, which is Paul Darling. This is what we saw last week, where Roca is just able to run his race and just march away from everybody. You're looking on screen there with Paul Darling working his way down the front stretch. The car behind him, the car behind him you see on screen. Sorry, Bill, to cut you off. That's Tim Collier, who is not on the same lap. So that's not a battle for position shaping up.
That's fine. Simon Goodwin, while we were talking, just had a little off into the Alfalfa. Got it straightened out in the McLaren, currently running in 14th position. Yeah, Roca's out there, what I call racing to the rhythm of the road. He's just having a nice getting it. Probably got the stereo tuned up and this having a comfortable race right now. Not even a lot of lap traffic for him to deal with. Let's see if he's got anybody coming up in front of him. No, not really. He's out there all by himself. 11-second lead.
As you saw right there, actually, he had a slight off coming through Britain's. Wasn't major. I think he just dipped the tire off and just kind of kicked up a little bit of dirt. Nothing really to worry about if you're that far out into the lead. Let's see, who else? Who else haven't we talked about so far today? Let's go through here. I think, unless my director corrects me, I think we've pretty much hit on everybody so far.
Director checking his stats, make sure everyone gets there. Want to make all the friends and family happy. Meanwhile, Paul Darling is only about 4.5 seconds up on Ratchie. I think Ratchie might be closing in little by little on that. That's something we may want to keep an eye on.
It's
in the
little
future
by
here.
little. The gap is staying pretty consistent at about 4.5 seconds. Lap time wise, they're pretty close. Last time by, let's see, Darling ran a 128.2 and Rutjay ran a 28.4. So
Yeah, a little bit lost a little bit.
I did lose a little bit, but I know what you were talking about. I have been kind of keeping one eye on that timing and scoring loop, and it did seem like that BMW was slowly reeling in that roof.
Well, here's something we can talk about, and we talked about it before the race off camera, and it's the pit strategy now. Now with these GT3 cars now, they can't fuel for viewers who are new to the series or don't understand what's going on. You can change fuel and tires on the same pit stop. You just can't do it simultaneously. So first you got to get your fuel, and then you got to get your tires, and then you got to get your tires one at a time. So it really becomes an issue, and it takes about 27 seconds to get a full round of 4 tires with one poor guy changing them one at a time. I'd like to give that guy some extra money, I would say, if he has to do all 4 tires. So they're doing them one at a time. So the issue is, for 27 seconds, do you take tires? It's a 60-minute race. Boy, it's a tough call. We're thinking that it's going to be, these guys are going to race on the old rubber.
Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, let's take a look here. Our easiest mark here, Roca, his best lap is a 127.6, and he just ran a 127.8. So tire fall off doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of an issue. So yeah, it would really surprise me to see any of these guys jump up, or when we see these guys on pit road, to see any of them jump up onto the jack stands. But we're going to jump back into the pack here a little bit, as Brad Wren has started to close little by little on Kyle Herron. It's not been much, and I really think that the front end being a little mangled on the BMW of Kyle is probably what's playing into that more so than he would like to admit. But that last lap, Wren was about 0.3 of a second faster. So keeping up that pace, and we talked about making sure that you set up your passes. It wouldn't surprise me if Wren can close in and potentially make the move into Druids, or maybe if he's brave, Lodge. But we'll have to see here. Gap is still staying about 1 second between these two. You see the McLaren taking a very low line. He's going to be able to get out. Let's see if that massive braking that the BMW is capable of, if that's going to allow him to gain an advantage. Absolutely not. Actually, the gap is now shrinking even more between Brad and Kyle. These guys are working their way through Clay Hill, around Water Tower. No, we're down through Nickelbrook.
Yeah, Kyle had begun to pick it up there. He was running laps about 132, and there you see Ren's going to make a move. Ren has probably been faster. It's just that Ren has been doing a lot of lawn mowing this race, which has him back running there, back in 10th position
he
right
has
now.
a moment.
He got loose again. He really is. He gains a lot of time. He gets up there, then he loses it, and he has to start all over again. He really has his handful with that McLaren.
He's hanging on, elbows up, knees up. I mean, anything that'll help him keep that car under control. He might want to turn the traction control setting up one more notch. What would you say, Bill?
No, traction control is your right foot. Turn that thing off there. Let your right foot do the traction control. That's how real. I think he's got a good run now, as Herron had a big mistake on corner exit. Yeah. Ren's gonna take this one. Thank you very much. Moves up into 9th position now.
Yeah, that was almost a no contest. I think Kyle realized that he made an error coming through Cascades, and he just had to give the position up. And especially with that wounded BMW, I don't think there's going to be that much of a fight he could put up.
No.
We're just shy of halfway through this race, so I would think at any point within the next probably 5 minutes, I would expect to see these guys dive into pit road for their stop.
Kyle basically just needs to keep it on the track, because as familiar as Brad Wren has been getting with the fescue, there's a good chance he'll be off in the grass again real soon, and Wren can get that position off. Or Herron will have that position back Ren now pulling away. It's got a 2-second lead on
So-
the BMW going around.
Sorry to kind of cut you off there, Bill. I want to talk about Ricardo Mendez. He has found his next victim, James Hume. That gap has now closed to 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second, as they work their way through Cascades and down the Lakeside Straight. Let's see if the power of that roof is going to be able to close in. Following an inline. He's going to try to probably make his move right here through corner 5 into Shell. Nope, he's going to fall back in line. Ride it out. Potentially set them up. Maybe. No. He's not going to try to pass through Britons. That'd just be... that would be an accident waiting to happen. Falling in line. Let's see if they work their way up the hilltop straight. Maybe he's going to try to make a pass down the straight. As you see him tuck right in line, picking up the draft from that very wide BMW, pulling out, making the move. But he's going to have the high side working through Knickerbrook. That's not the right way to pass. Oh, goodness. He pulls a tire off, falls right back into line. He's got no momentum running up that hill now. Now he's got to fall back in line and potentially wait for Druids or maybe even lodge down the front straightaway to get back around James.
Hume took a great defensive line there. Is he going to do it again, forcing Mendez around the outside? Now let's see what kind of exit he can get here as they head down into the first corner. Look at again as Hume takes that inside line, actually kind of a middle line there.
As Mendez backs out of it, but Hume makes a mistake. Oh, I almost want to say that Mendez potentially planned that. Show him the wheels there and hope for him to make a mistake. Mendez powers by, and he's just recovered nicely from that off-track excursion. You can see the damage on the front of that car, but he's making it work. That's the most impressive part about this. Now, if he wants to get up to Tarbox there in 5th, he's got about 16 seconds separating the two of them, I believe. Yep, it's about 16 seconds. So that's gonna be more of a achievement or more of a bigger hill to climb there.
Let's go back up to second position. We talked about Paul Darling and his 4.5-second lead that he had on Tom Ratche. Well, it's not that anymore. The Ratche's got angry and has closed it down to just about under half a second now, 0.5. So Ratche is basically there.
We were on board with Paul Darling looking out the back of the roof, watching that BMW just get closer and closer in the rearview mirror. I've talked about it plenty of times today. Would Tom try to make that maneuver down into 5? Nope, he's just going to fall in line. But yeah, that gap has absolutely shrunk between the two of them. Paul Darling took a very wide, tried to kind of diamond that corner through there, and it almost let Ratche get by on the inside.
It did. Almost peaked in the middle there of Shell. A hard corner to make the pass because the exit of the previous corner puts you kind of on the right side, kind of gives you in position going into that hairpin. Let's see what Ratche can do with that BMW, where he's going to make the move. And keep in mind now, there's only 27 minutes left in this pit stop. I still have to make a pit stop, so Ratche may want to just maybe wait and do this. Either if he's faster, which he clearly is, maybe he might want to wait and run 1 or 2 extra laps and get it done while Darling's in the pits, in pit lane. If I'm Darling, I'm going to stay out and run this thing as long as I can. I don't want Ratche to be able to do that.
Well, and yeah, I mean, that's going to definitely be the strategy here. But, if I think from a defensive strategy standpoint, if Darling stays out long enough and keeps Ratche behind him, they're both going to have to pit at the same time, and that pretty much nullifies out that short pitting strategy that you're talking about. So it's kind of like having a really good defense in chess, and we're watching it play out here in front of us.
Yeah, if I'm Paul, I'm keeping that car out. I see no reason to come in early and let... Clearly, Tom is faster. And if Paul comes in early, Tom's going to be able to run some hot laps and maybe get it done without actually having to make the pass on the track. So Darling's going to keep that out there, I would think, as long as he can. Now, they start with 65% fuel for all these cars. I'm not sure what the mileage is. Usually the BMWs, it's my experience, that they are a little more thirsty than the roof. So we'll see if Tom can keep it out there as long as Paul Darling does.
Well, that's going to be the other strategy hand here. Is I believe you're right, Bill. That roof. Wow, these guys are just getting it all around this track. Dust flying, dirt flying everywhere, parts and pieces, and parts of egos, and everything's going to be laying out there on the track today. But yeah, the roofs, I believe, with their kind of a streamlined sort of design, they're going to get better fuel mileage versus
And
that
there we
wider
go.
BMW.
And to prove the point.
Just what you were talking about. There's Rajay back onto pit road, going to make his one pit stop here. Now, here's the other offensive strategy for Tom there. If he can get a clear bit of track and he can run some qualifier laps, full out, foot to the floor, get after it, he might be able to jump
Do it
over
anyway. Right.
Darling again. So this is kind of a really cool strategy standpoint. Also, we're going to jump onto the McLaren of Brad Wren. Talked about him plenty of times today. That McLaren is closing in on the BMW there of Jay Friels. Because once again, my mind is imagining that there's no R in Jay Friels' name. And there goes Wren to pit road. So just as soon as that battle popped up, kind of squashes away. Also, 20-second pit stop for Tom Rotjay. I believe that was...
no tires.
Yeah, that was definitely fuel only. But here's the other thing. He's got James Hume behind him a little bit. And out in front of him is Ricardo Mendez. Now, I don't believe that that's going to be enough of a gap to upset Tom's line, but still, that's not clear track as these road racers would love to have.
Yeah, probably not this lap. It depends on how long Mendez is going to stay out there. Okay, now we have Darling in. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on both of these guys. Darling is just pulling into his stall right now. Ratchay's got a ways to go still.
We'll also take into account the pit road delta, with pit road speed being somewhere in the ballpark of about 40 miles an hour. Mendez has another off. Was it a minor one? I wasn't quite paying.
Darling is rolling here. Darling
that
is rolling.
Freed up Rajay. Here's Rajay working his way down the front stretch.
Darling's going to be well out in front. Darling's going to be just crushed Rajay on the pit stop. He's got about a 4-second lead now. Tom's got to do it all again. He's got 23 seconds now to run him down one more time, but that sure didn't work.
Yep. Let's move to plan. I think he might be on plan C or D by now. So, luckily for these road racers, they've got plenty of tricks up their sleeve. So, who knows? They might find each other again.
Our leader in the pit stop now, in making a stop as we're going to a replay on Mendez.
And also, our leader is on pit road right now. But we're going to show you Mendez coming through. Oh, goodness gracious. It's a bit... Oh, just off-roading that thing. I mean, it unfortunately gave up a position there. Roca on pit road. I don't see the jack going up. Nope, he is rolling now. Fuel only for the leader, kind of following that trend that everybody else has picked up on.
Of Jason Lundy. I don't think Lundy has made his pit stop yet, so that's 1-2 right there.
Now, Lundy has yet to pit, as well as Tarbox Jr., James Hume, Jay Friels, Kyle Herron, and Warren McGarry all have yet to hit pit road today. So yeah, it's kind of a faux battle for the lead because we know that Lundy
misleading a lap by about 5 car lengths there for Jason.
As my director loves to point out my mistakes, I apparently forgot the R in Jay Friels' name one more time. So to all of the Jay Friels fans, I'm sorry.
That's another $5 into the swear jar. You're buying the
pretty
chicken
much
wings tonight, buddy.
Yeah, well, I think you and I are going to be the biggest contributors to that swear jar at the end of the year.
Oh God, my swear jar is in escrow. There's so much money in it.
As long as it's collecting interest.
That's right.
Mendez.
So we're still waiting for Lundy to come in here. Let's see if he's gonna be doing that pretty soon.
You saw on screen there, Mendez got back around. He got back around Hume there, as Lundy now hits pit road for his pit stop of the race. See the lights flickering there.
There's Lundy, and I would venture to say Mendez has probably won the award for passing most cars today because he just keeps. We talked about Brad Wren having the same problem of getting up and then giving it all up. Ricardo's done it too. Very fast, but boy, he's made a lot of mistakes.
He's driving that thing on basically the outer fringes of the limits. And the drive that he's had has been nothing short of impressive. You know, being able to take a wounded car, not wound it anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, no, I don't know. I did it again.
Sorry.
No, that's not going to limp away from that one.
That's that one. Ricardo, we got to stop doing that.
Well, there's $10 into that smurr jar. As you see on screen, the tricky track reaches out and bites another victim. He was working his way through Knickerbrook, gets a little wide on the exit, and hits that grass, and then wall. And luckily, he was able to hold down the brake pedal, keep that in one spot, which allowed whoever that was coming by had a moment getting through. Mendez has also disconnected from the server, so right after his free repair, that happens to him. So I have a feeling these guys might not want us back next year. We keep cursing their drivers.
Well, that's good news, though. One person's bad news is another person's good news. Good news for Warren McGarry. That's going to move him up one more position. He's going to get another one due to attrition. And I'm pulling to get that Ford, maybe in the top 10. It's going to move him up to 11th right now. Still in the hunt to get that car in the top 10. Now, Darling's lead is 3.7 seconds. It was about 4.5 when they came out of the pits, Darling over Ratche. So Ratche is running him down once again. He's got 19 minutes to do it, and I think he's going to get there.
Well, let's talk about a really quick and interesting battle right here as we jump on screen. Roca found his way in the middle of a battle there between Brad Wren and Jay Friels. Friels saw the leader coming and decided to duck out of the way. Brad decided to take the opportunity and make the move up the inside, and there was Roca trapped behind all three of them. As we're going to show you this again on replay, watch. Friels looks up in his mirror or sees the blue flag flashing in his race, sees the leader there, he pulls off. Wren decides to take the opportunity, and then there's Roca just deciding to split the middle. That was a big moment right there.
But there was no position, there is. I believe everyone, even though it was kind of interesting, everyone held their position. That's kind of like playing ball in the street. Oh, Friels lost the position, yeah. So that's not fair. You know, when the car comes through, everyone's supposed to say time. But Friels kept playing, and he went and scored a basket.
Basically, what just happened is in street hockey, someone yelled car, and Wren didn't quite hear it. He shot at the goalie.
He took the shot. That's right.
And now we're going to keep this on this battle right here, because I'm sure that Jay Friels doesn't quite have warm and fuzzy feelings about that maneuver. So this is going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to close that gap back up to Brad Wren.
There's an unwritten law between back markers. We all get on our secret meetings and with our secret handshakes, and we talk about it. You're really not supposed to do that. That's kind of... there's nothing wrong with it, but in back marker society, that doesn't play very well. You're not going to get invited to the next dance if you keep doing that. So,
no, and even more of an impressive maneuver. We talked about this before pit stops. Ratche has caught back up to the rear bumper of Paul Darling. There may have been an assist from the slower Ford GT of Warren McGarry there, but more importantly, the gap is now down to 1.3 seconds, where off of pit stops it was about 4 seconds. So with just over 16 minutes left in this race, we're seeing a battle for the second podium position starting to shape up.
Yeah, I got to use my line now. For passing Darling is going to be like milking a rooster. The hard part starts after you catch it. So I think Rathy certainly has the speed, but we've seen him do this before, get up here, and then he ran into trouble, and the pit cycle broke it up. Boy, but he was able to make up that time really fast. So let's see how he gets that BMW, where he makes the move here on Darling. Oh, Ratchet using all of the available little green AstroTurf there on going wide on some of these.
Well, it's not a very wide track, so he's able to use everything and anything. If there's a pavement, if it's paved, he's going to try to find it and use it, and even part of the dirt there as they work their way through Island Bend, try to close that gap up to Paul Darling. Darling, though, he's taken about a lane higher line through corner 5, Shell Oil's corner, and it seems like that's given him a great run down that little short chute up to Britain's. As we're watching on screen again, they're doing a lot more dragging cars through the dust and keeping it on track, but now that gap has grown back out because of that mistake through Britain's. Ratchet begins the pursuit all over again.
And Darling might be doing kind of managing the gap there a little bit, just not needing to go any faster than he needs to. When that gap got down to maybe a second, he said, okay, time to stretch it out. But yeah, I think you're right. I think on Ratchet's part.
Just trying to keep close enough in case Darling has a mistake. I mean, we've seen this track reach out and just bite people. And if you're Ratchet, you're almost sitting in a permanent popcorn position between another car and their battle with the track. For any of you NASCAR oval fans out there, this is kind of reminiscent of Darlington, which they say that the way to win around Darlington is to race the track first and then race your competitors. And it seems like Oulton Park seems to kind of follow that similar strategy and mindset. If you can keep all 4 tires on the paved area and your opponent might have a couple offs, as we saw with Mendez and El Crudo and pretty much half the field out there. If you can keep all 4 tires on it, you might have a good shot at this as time winds down.
Roca is in trouble.
Oh, big damage to Roca. Now this is going to be interesting.
It was a lapped car in front of him. It was Goodwin. Got into the lapped car that got loose in front of him.
Oh no. But importantly, here, this is where it's going to get interesting. Roca still has his fast repair, I believe. He's going to jump onto pit road, and he had a 30-second lead. So with the Delta and all the interviews, man, that car is wounded. Gap is shrinking 16 seconds. It's down 2. This is going to get good because now Roca's going to be able to come right back out there with basically a fresh car that they rolled off.
Okay,
Darling now goes off into the lead. And Roca is away.
Is coming out.
Now, with 13 minutes left, does Roca have enough time with the blistering pace that he is able to set? Does he have enough time to get back up there to Darling?
Oh, he's not that far back. He could use another 5 minutes to get there. But this is going to be really interesting now because there's going to be a battle between Darling and Ratchet. That's going to slow him down. Let's stay on the leader right now. He's got a lap car in front of him. He's looking at Kyle Herron right now.
Darling looking up the track, seeing Kyle Herron, think, come on, get out of the way, get out of the way.
Caught him in a horrible spot.
That's not the place.
We think maybe Herron might be a teammate of Ratchet. I don't think so. I think Ratchet is teamed up with Lundy.
Oh, man.
Oh, you know what? We're right. That might be a Puffing Racing amateur driver there of Herron might be, and he certainly is not making it easy for Darling.
He's making that BMW wider than it already is.
Oh, look at the run now that Ratchet has on him.
Oh, and he's right there, bumper to bumper with the roof. Ratchet's up on the rear of Paul Darling. Let's see what happens as these guys work their way through the front stretch. Ratchet takes a very wide line, potentially giving Darling a little bit of room, but as they work their way around the first corner and down into Denton's and Cascades, with Darling still stuck behind Kyle Herron. If you're in the helmet there of Darling, and Kyle finally gets out of the way, but the damage has been done as we're looking at the BMW of Ratchet catching up, keeping keeping on the bumper of Island Bend. He's going to work his way into corner 5. Is he going to try to make the move? No, he's going to fall right back into line, potentially try to set him up on the outside of Britton's, but he's going to have a good corner through here in order to maintain that gap, because the roof is able to squeak away down that straightaway just a little bit. And even better, we talked about it, Roca is 2.5 seconds off of this battle, so with 10 minutes and 53 seconds left in this race, it's not over yet, folks.
Roca is going to make short work of Kyle Herron now. He's going to put up with none of that nonsense. Here comes Roca. And Herron, he can't get around him, actually. Now Roca's being held up again by Herron.
He's caught him at the kind of a bad spot in the track. Now he's going to be able to get by as he works his way. He's going to have the inside line through Lodge. Kind of the BMW goes a little wide. Oh, there's a little bit of banter back and forth there between Kyle and Humberto. Kyle feels
our director to go on board with Roca here to actually get an idea of what he's looking at, because he can see those guys ahead of him.
Oh, there's the good view right there.
They are.
Those two black specks up in the distance. Those are the guys that he's gaining on. Gap is still at 2.5 seconds. Now, if you're Darling and you're Ratche, do you look at the relative screen and go, hey, this Roca guy's catching us. Maybe we shouldn't battle too much.
It wouldn't actually be. I think, though, what's frustrating for Ratche is I think he's faster. He's able to catch up. Again, he can't make the pass, but he's able to run down Darling almost at ease. Then he makes a mistake, loses ground again, and has to try it all over again. He can get there, but he can't get around him.
Darling is able to get that advantage out of Britton's, and Ratche seems to be able to close that gap through Shell Oil, or through basically from corner 5 to corner 6. So, and with the way that this track seems to have a flow to it, Darling, being able to get that good run, is able to really stretch his lead out over the back half of this circuit. And the gap back to Roca is now down to 2 seconds off the bumper of Ratche. So, 8 minutes, 50 seconds. I think Roca's going to get there. We know he's got the car to be able to get around, but are these guys going to give him the room, or is Roca potentially going to have to push the issue in a track that is not very conducive to passing?
Ratche lost a ton of time through Lodge, the final corner there, and dropped back again. He's got to make it all up again. I think what our director was saying, and I think the fans can even say,
oh,
there he's off!
Paul Darling has an off. He's well off. He's going to find the tire wall outside the kitty litter. Oh, goodness, that he was able to stay right there. Doesn't jump back on track. Now that hands the lead over to Tom Ratche, but more importantly, that just brings Roca right closer back to stealing this victory away. We're going to go and show you the replay here. Paul Darling, I don't know what happened here. The car just lurched sideways.
And the tire barrier was so far away, and he just couldn't get it back, and he tried so hard to get it back in and just couldn't clear the tire barrier.
Well, and it's a good thing that tire barrier was there, because if that tire barrier wasn't there, I think he would have taken out Roca.
He would have come right across the track. Oh, my goodness. So we have a new leader. Tom Ratche, 7.5 minutes to go.
Paul Darling has had another incident. His day is not over yet. We just caught the very tail end of it, flipping down the hilltop straightaway. I'm trying to see what happens here. Let's see, he's out front here, working his way around Knickerbrook, and he's working up Clay Hill, and the car just doesn't turn. And he catches that little wall right there and hits the wall big time, flipping end over end over end, and has disconnected from the race. So, attrition factor playing into the race today, huge. Let's jump back up to the lead. This is where the action is going to be. If you're Tom Ratche, you're sitting on that hot stove right now trying to sweat ice water, and it's not working out because Roca's roof just gets closer and closer in that rear view, and especially with him not being able to get a good run out of Britton's. And here comes Roca down to the inside. Got a great run out of Britton's, and I don't believe that Ratche is going to be able to compete with him unless he's going to be able to hold the corner through Knickerbrook He's going to be able to try to get there. Goodness, as Roca shuts the door. And Roca, from getting wrecked from the leader, restarting in third, or coming out of the pits in third, and through attrition, has jumped back up to the lead again. It's an amazing drive for Roca.
Yeah, Britton's really is the Achilles heel for Ratchy. It was what kept him from being able to pass Darling, and it would eventually cost him the lead there as Roca gets around.
Sorry not to cut you off. Tim Collier has another moment, because we haven't talked about that McLaren doing its landscaping duties today. He's working around. He was trying to work around the BMW of Kyle Heron, swung it out really wide. Maybe try to set up a move or something. But then he caught, as you're going to see on the screen here, follows in the tire tracks of the BMW, and then brings it out really wide to try to set something up, and then just loses it, does a tank slapper, spins off into the kitty litter, doesn't hit anything. I don't know how many spins that makes for him where he hasn't hit anything, but if I was him, I'd certainly be buying a lottery ticket tonight.
And with the attrition to Darling, that moves my favorite driver, Warren McGarry, up into 10th place. He's going to get that 10th position for that Ford. Thanks a lot to attrition. He's the last car, I believe, on the track right now.
Doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. Way to go for Warren McGarry in that Ford GT. That's just a good feel-good story today.
Oops, and Ren is in the wall.
Oh,
It's
no.
just got loose and put it in the wall.
I think that's the I was talking about this earlier in the race. The undulation of the track. He comes through that corner or that little jaunt, and the car just isn't happy. You're going to see it on replay right here, working his way around. Where is that? Is that Clay Hill? That's out of Druids, where the car just gets uneven, hits the uneven road. The car gets unhappy, and then through the way that the track has the bumps on there, he just wasn't able to keep it locked down and in it going in a straight line.
And he's taking it in the pits with 4 minutes to go. Been an eventful race for Brad. And it looks like he's out of fast repair, so he's still in there. Don't think he's going to be able to bring that out. And that's going to be another position for Warren McGarry.
He's going to be the recipient of our Dory Award today.
The way this is going, there's a top 5 in his future.
There is still 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in this race. Well, on screen, you see the two very similarly painted BMWs. Oh, there we go. We're looking at Jason Lundy and Kyle Heron, actually.
Yeah, those are the teammates we talked about. Heron, all three of those drivers with Ratche driving for Puffin Racing.
I wonder if Kyle is going to move out of the way a little nicer this time for Jason Lundy instead of the other guys that he was trapped in front of, or trying to trap behind them.
That's a 2-3-8 finish for Puffin Racing. They got to be happy with that. And had a taste of the lead there. And Umberto Roca, my goodness, what a driver.
That's just sheer determination out of that driver of that roof. Not getting down. Luckily for him, he was able to have that 30-some-odd second lead when he got caught up with the lap car, and all he had to do was just milk it back around to pit road, take his fast repair, and came out about 4 seconds behind that battle between Darling and Ratche. So, just able to just keep on it, and more importantly, keep himself out of harm's way, and looking up the track, he has nobody in front of him, and unless something happens, because this is Champion Motorsport, unless something falls out of the sky, I'm going to say it that way, because iRacing does not have meteor collisions. Unless something falls out of the sky, I think Roca is going to be able to finish this race, this final minute and a half, relatively unscathed.
While we were talking there, Collier looped it again. Still running in 8th. Getting closer to McGarry now, only 5 seconds on him. maybe a quick little screen time before this race is over to our fourth place driver, Robert Tarbox. We haven't seen much of him. Running a nice, quiet race. He was in an early battles in the early on of the race. Now comfortably running in fourth. Good finish for him.
Tarbox has kept that BMW pretty clean, on track, and I think with all the attrition that was going on, maybe he saw it was going on and said, hey, you know what, I'm just going to keep all 4 tires on the pavement, and as you see on screen, Collier's off again. We think it's the final lap here for Roca. Apologies for my timing and scoring not kind of showing it right, because when he came across the line the last time, there was about a minute 25 on the clock, and they lap around here at about a minute 30. So that should have been the last lap. Oh, he'll be getting the white flag this time. Okay, my director corrects me. Well, either way, I'm still getting corrected from the director, so that's a good thing. Actually, as we're going on screen, we're going to show Roca, the ups and downs. Roca takes a victory at Oulton Park. You can't say he did not earn that, folks. He absolutely earned that victory today. Jumping back, looking at that BMW Tom Ratjay finishing in second. Lundy is working his way through the final set of corners, taking it very easy.
You're going to do a little side-by-side, I think. They want a little team
photo
picture,
op there. Perfect. Well, and he had
Lundy
6
goes
seconds.
by his teammate there.
Tarbox is going to finish in fourth, but we're going to have a full field rundown just on the other side of our one and only break tonight. So, folks, stay tuned. We'll have a full field rundown, driver interviews, and then we'll close out the show for you. So come on back on the other side. We'll be here. tar box just to throw everything off. Well, that was an interesting race that we saw there. It had a little bit of everything for you. Great battles. The track being a sleeping dragon, reaching out and grabbing people. You know what? Let's just do a full field rundown here. As we saw on screen, Humberto Aroca completes the clean sweep. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and wins the race. He was followed on the podium by Tom Rotjay. In third place is series organizer Jason Lundy. Fourth went to Robert Tarbox. Fifth went to James Hume. Sixth to Drew Lidke. Seventh went to Kyle Heron. Eighth to Tim Collier. Ninth to Warren McGarry.
Woohoo!
In that Ford GT, just keep swimming. And in 10th went to Brad Wren. Bill.
In 11th, Paul Darling, who tasted the lead for a little while there. Jay Friels in 12th position. No swear jar paying one for me. Simon Goodwin in 13th. Ricardo Mendez, 14th. Boy, he was exciting to watch, though. Mikel Alcrudo did great last week, not so good this week. 40 laps down, rounding out 15th and the final driver that entered.
Yeah. So, as we talked about on the other side, let's bring some drivers in and talk to them about their race. I think we're going to jump to Rob Tarbox. Let's bring him down in here as we've caught up. Robert, Brian up in the GSRC booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do. How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's going pretty good. Tell us about your race, man.
Well, from last season, we developed a really good Zolder set, and I ended up using it for this race, and with a few shock adjustments, and I think I added a click of wing, and the car just felt like a rocket all night, and yeah, I think I qualified 5th, finished 4th. I'm really happy with the performance. I stayed ahead of everybody that I needed to. And I see Tim had a bad race, so this will be his drop race. My crappy race was Montreal, so it's going to be interesting to see what the points are going to be like going into the last race.
Absolutely. With the way that this series goes, we talk about it a lot. It's not over until it's over. You seem to keep. I think your goal tonight was keep all 4 tires on the pavement and let everything else shake out. Am I that far off from the plan, or did it just kind of unfold to you that way?
Absolutely. This place is pretty unforgiving when it comes to off tracks and stuff like that. Like, once you get an off track and you get into that slippery grass, you're usually going to be gone after that. And I saw a lot of guys in front of me, a lot of guys behind me. Like, I think that happened to Tim like 2 or 3 times. You touch the grass and the car goes. It's gone. So my objective was to try to stay ahead of everybody, and as soon as I got a good lead, it was just keep the 4 tires on the track and just keep calm,
Keep calm, carry on. Never a bad strategy. Series wraps up next week let me pull up my script here.
Phillip Island, I believe. One of my favorite tracks.
I was just, see, you read my mind. That's what I was just going to ask you. How do you feel about wrapping up the season at Phillip Island?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks. It really seems to fit the BMW. I don't know if that's why I like it or not, but typically, any car you put me in on Phillip Island, I love it. So I'm going to be looking forward to that.
Sounds good. Any kind of final thoughts from you tonight, Robert, before we send you off and let you celebrate a nice, well-earned 4th place finish?
Yeah, I want to just say, we're coming down to the wire here in the AM, and I've been racing Tim this entire season. I raced him last season. He's a great driver, very clean. So this is going to be a lot of fun coming down to it. And honestly, let the best man win. I'd like to send a shout out to the Screw Loose guys. Some of them are watching. I'd like to thank also my spotter Tom, who took out of his day to spot for me again, even though it was a boring race. He's always there for me. Make sure that I get through the race and keeps me calm, because about 4 or 5 laps in, I started slipping around, and he's just like, no, let's just back it off. You're keeping a good pace. You're staying ahead of the guys. Just back it off. Hit the marks better. And I eventually brought down my times because of that. So I'd like to thank him, and I'd like to thank you guys, because you guys did a great job with the broadcast as always. So have a good night.
Thank you, Robert. That was the voice of Robert Tarbox, celebrating a 4th place finish tonight. Bill, I believe you've caught up with
We're going to do Tom.
Jason.
We're going to do Tom Ratche, 2nd place driver.
All right, we're going to do Tom Ratche. Bill, take it away.
Tom, you got a copy?
Hey, Bill. How you doing, man?
Hey, congratulations, old buddy. You had a taste of the lead there for a while.
Oh, I know. It was good. Good thing for Alberta. We had the quick repair, huh?
Yeah, it was. We got a lot to talk about here. So first, let's talk about Bridden's there. That 789, the chicane. That seemed to be like your weakest part of the track. Is that how it felt for you, or since us watching it, couldn't get that BMW through there very well?
Something was going on in the race. I wasn't quite comfortable. It was getting a little loose. But when you compare the BMW to the roofs, those guys pull us out of any slow place. The roofs kill us.
Got it. So it's not even so much the top end speed, it's just that they can get to the throttle faster out of that chicane there for you, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, and Paul was doing it every place where he could just get it down. But if there was a long sweeping turn, that's where I could kind of get him. But yeah, coming out of the chicane, it was tough as heck.
Yeah, you were really good through 5, through the hairpin there. Would have been hard to make that pass because I think you were running faster laps. Didn't you think you were faster? But boy, hard to get around them.
Yeah, we ran VIR last week, and that was a tough track. And this track is even more narrow. I mean, it's you don't even have enough room to change your mind.
So, did you have a little help from your teammate there? Who was that running in? Was it
No.
Nope.
That wouldn't happen. We are nothing but gentlemanly racers in this league.
Was this hard for him to get out of the way? Then you got your break, and let me tell you got lucky actually when if you watch the replay, when Darling lost it, I think he was going to come across the track and either get you or maybe Roca, one of you guys, because he was coming fast before he hit the tire barrier.
Well, I saw him going out there, and I was like, please, no, don't get me on the rebound.
Then you had a taste of it, but boy, he's good. Roca is fast.
Oh, Umberto's unbelievable, and it doesn't matter what car, he's just a great driver. I love racing with him.
Well, congratulations. You were my pick. I almost came through there. Almost got some good odds on you winning there. 2nd place. Hey, how about 2nd, 3rd, and 7th for Puffin Racing? Gotta like that.
Well, if you look at the AM podium, we had 2 guys there, right? We had Hume and Heron.
Oh, there you go. Hume also. That's right. I forgot. So, boy, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Nice job for Puffin Racing. So, good luck, and we will see you. You good for the next one? Where we're going? First of the year? Back.
We're back at Phillips Island, one of my favorite tracks. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, always puts on a good show. All right, Tom. Good. Congratulations on a close win. 2nd place is great, and we'll see you next time.
All right, Bill. Take care. Good talking to you, man.
All right. I'm Ratchie, 2nd place finisher today. Brian?
All right, so we move to the top of the podium, and we're going to talk to our winner today, Humberto Roca. Let's see here. Going to catch up. Got to get through all the confetti and move aside all of the victory lane girl, Humberto Roca. That was just a nice, easy, pull away victory, right?
Yeah, I wish.
So, tell us kind of what was going through your mind there as you got caught up with the lap car as he kind of bounced off the walls there. And, with this track being so narrow, did you really have any time to react, or was it just pretty much almost firewall deep into him before you had a moment to think?
Well, as I was going uphill, I saw him just get a little bit loose, and I thought he was gonna recover it. But as soon as he went and hit the wall, he kept up bouncing to the wall. So I thought, okay, he's gonna still bounce to the wall, and I'm gonna just pass. And then out of nowhere, I just see him getting back at me, and it was just a matter of seconds, not even 1 second. And I thought that that's it for me. And then he hit me, and I bounced everywhere. And I was lucky that I could manage to get the car to the pits, even though it was all crippled. I was just able to get it and use my fast repair, thankfully. And then those laps behind these guys, thankfully, I think it was Kyle who caught them up a little bit, and I was able to catch him faster. But man, it was tough.
Then you almost had to go through that all over again after coming back off of pit road, as Paul Darling slid off around. He slid off around Cascades, or through Island Bend actually, and you saw him sliding off to the inside. What was you thinking there? Going, oh no, not again?
Yeah, exactly. First I was like, no, because he was like 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me. So I saw him just lose the car, and then I was like, no. And then, like 2 seconds after that, I was like, no, because I thought he was gonna come back and hit me again, and that would be such a bad luck. And then, unfortunately, he wasn't able to recover it, but I was lucky.
It was a great battle to watch from up here, and it was a great race. It had your ups and downs. Really, outside of that, how did you feel that your race went? I mean, at one point I looked up and you had a 30-second lead, so it was kind of like I assumed Virginia International Raceway, just kind of smooth sailing, focus on driving.
Well, yeah. Right before the crash, I had 0 incidents, so I was racing really, really clean and very, very focused on not making any mistakes. Pushing, I was definitely pushing. It wasn't something like cruising. I was just driving as fast as I could and as clean as I could, and it felt great. I mean, I'm not a fan of this track. It's basically new for me, no more than 2 races, and well, the car felt great. I'm really sorry about Paul, and great about Tom that we were able to have a little of a battle. But yeah, it was good after all.
Absolutely, it was. The series wraps up next week at Phillip Island. How you looking forward to that one?
I really don't like that track, so I'm super positive that I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna be as fast as I can. But as I see the end of the season, I see Tom, I see Paul, Victor, all these guys getting faster and faster each race, and you start to get very nervous and happy, because you know that these guys work a lot on their cars and all this. So watching new faces up in front and battling and all that, it just makes me very happy.
Sounds good. It seems like you have a good habit there. You didn't really like Oulton Park, but then you won here. So if you don't like Phillip Island, I imagine that we'll probably see you, up near the top step of that podium again. Any final thoughts before we part ways, Humberto?
No, I'm just thank you guys for the broadcast, and congratulations to all the podiums, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you as well. That was our winner tonight, Humberto Roca, able to dodge everything that the track was able to throw at him and still come back with a victory. And I believe we've got one more interview. I think Bill has caught up with Jason Lundy. Bill.
Yes, let me see if we can get Jason in there. Whoops. Hang on, we're getting him. There we go. Jason Lundy, real quickly here as we're running out of time. Congratulations, 3rd place. Nice night for Puffin Racing.
Oh yeah, thank you. It was a great night for the team. Tom came up with the setup for all of us guys, and they put in a lot of practice this week. So it was good to see that pay off. 2nd and 3rd in both classes. It was just awesome. And we're chipping away at the lead Can-Am Racing has over us in the team championship. So that's our goal for next week, final round. Hopefully we can get it done at Phillip Island.
Yeah, how have you and Tom been faring so far this season? It looks like, is it usually him in front, you in front? Have you guys been swapping? How's it been going?
It depends. he's been more consistent over the course of the season, but depending on the track, our pace is fairly similar. It's been very tough at tracks that don't suit the BMW. Yeah, we're usually the only ones up there near the front, and it's tough to battle with the roofs.
Has the new build helped at all?
It's tough to say because we've been on BMW tracks that favor the BMW, so it's tough to say. Phillip Island's also going to favor us, so we won't know until next season.
Well, congratulations on third place and Puffin going, 2, 3, 5, 7 tonight. So good deal, and we will see you. Have a happy New Year, and we'll see you next year at Phillip Island.
Yes, thank you. See you guys.
All right. Right?
Well, yeah, that was. Yeah, I guess we got. Sorry, everybody kind of caught me between a thought there.
It was a good race today. I think we need to get Umberto on Dancing of the Stars. There are a lot of Helio Castro Neves in that guy. Boy, he's likable, and Rathy and Lundy with a great finish. And we just want to remind everybody, while you're watching these races, stick around to the end, because you never know how these things are going to turn out. It's always, more times than not, it's not the way that you think it's going to go. So we hope everybody enjoyed the race tonight. And Brian, I'll throw it back to you.
All right, I think we're going to bring her home here. We want to thank you to the series organizer, Jason Lundy. Thank you to the software and the hardware that we use for our broadcast that you can see listed on your screen right now. Thank you to the team today, Bill Soup Zahn, and our director Joe, and Dougie for giving us those wonderful camera angles. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and beginning January 1st, you can find us at GSRC Broadcasting. You can also find us at Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provided music for our broadcast. Their music can be found at locations listed on the screen as well. Next race, as we talked about in the driver interviews, January 6th, 9:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Phillip Island, rounding out the season. Coming from a land down under. We also have other upcoming races and other series on screen. Check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and tune in. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and I will see you on the track.